At dinner that night, my daughter-in-law told me to sit somewhere else. I smiled, ignored her, and took the chair next to the lawyer. And what happened next changed everything. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe. My name is Eleanor, and I'm 67. I live with my son, Michael, his wife, Vanessa, and my 2 grandchildren, Noah and Lily. Since my husband passed away, I've tried to hold this family together. I cook, I help with the children, and I try my best to stay out of the way. But lately, I felt more like a guest than a mother-in-law, more invisible than ever. Michael works long hours, exhausted by his job, and often misses the way Vanessa treats me. Polite in front of others, sharp and dismissive when we're alone. Small remarks about my cooking or how I fold laundry, sometimes cutting words meant to remind me this is her home now. One afternoon, I tried to help her in the kitchen. She sighed loudly. "Eleanor, could you not hover while I cook? You'll just make a mess." I smiled weakly and stepped back. I only wanted to help. Michael walked in, glancing between us. "Mom, just let Vanessa handle it," he said softly. He didn't mean to hurt me, but his silence often cut deeper than her words ever could. The only ones who made me feel needed were Noah and Lily. Their little arms around me, stories, drawings, books, they reminded me I mattered somewhere in this house. So when Vanessa told me at dinner to sit elsewhere, I wasn't shocked. This wasn't the first time, but that night I was ready. The dinner had been planned carefully, days in advance. Vanessa had invited Michael's close relatives, and even Mr. Harris, our family lawyer, was coming. She called it a family gathering, but I sensed it was about something far more serious. The tension hit me the moment I entered the dining room. The table gleamed with polished silverware, sparkling glasses, and perfectly arranged dishes. Vanessa was radiant, perfectly coiffed hair, fitted dress, practiced smile. To everyone else, she was the ideal hostess. To me, it was another performance. Noah and Lily ran up to me. "Grandma, sit here," they said, tugging my hands, their little voices warm and familiar. But Vanessa's sharp tone cut across the room. "Eleanor, why don't you sit at the far end tonight? We need space for the main discussion." The words stung, but I didn't show it. I nodded politely, and then I did something she didn't expect. I walked past the end of the table, pulled out the chair next to Mr. Harris, and sat down. The room shifted. Vanessa's eyes locked onto me, fury barely hidden behind her composed smile. Michael avoided my gaze, adjusting his tie nervously. Mr. Harris gave a small nod, neutral but kind, and it steadied me. Dinner began lightly, with small talk about school, work, and neighborhood gossip. Vanessa laughed loudly at her own jokes. Michael gave quiet responses. The children whispered and giggled among themselves. Yet, under the polite chatter, something was building. I could sense it in the way Vanessa's eyes kept flicking toward the folder beside Mr. Harris's chair. Finally, after the plates were cleared, Vanessa leaned forward, her manicured fingers tapping the table. "Now that everyone's comfortable, let's get to the important part." My heart skipped. I had suspected this was the real reason for the dinner. The documents, they weren't ordinary papers. They were about the estate, my late husband's will, perhaps the family home, or the money he had saved. Vanessa's tone was confident, like she already owned the outcome. "Time to finalize everything," she said. Michael stayed quiet, his eyes downcast. Noah tugged my sleeve. "Grandma, what does she mean?" he whispered. "Don't worry, sweetheart," I replied gently, holding his hand. Vanessa turned to me, her sugar-sweet smile hiding a cold edge. Eleanor, it's just practical. You're older now. Michael and I should handle everything. No need to worry about complicated matters. Her words cut deep, not just dismissive, but erasing. They treated me like a relic of the past, as if my years of love, care, and dedication meant nothing. I didn't respond. Instead, I folded my hands, calm on the outside, but inside, my resolve was iron. The click of Mr. Harris opening the folder echoed louder than the polite conversation earlier. Vanessa leaned back, satisfied, thinking she had won. Michael shifted, uncomfortable, guilty. The children sensed importance, but not the weight of it. And me? I had already been preparing. Weeks earlier, I had overheard Vanessa on the phone, her voice low but clear. Once everything is under our name, she won't be able to say a thing. The house, the savings, Michael will understand. I froze. Her intentions were clear. Control, not practicality. I went to my room, staring at my husband's old photo. You worked your whole life for this family. I won't let them dishonor your memory, I whispered. The next day, I met with Mr. Harris privately. I explained everything I'd overheard. He listened, nodded, brows furrowed. Eleanor, your husband left explicit instructions. He wanted you protected. The house and a portion of savings are yours, and for the grandchildren's future. Nothing Vanessa is suggesting can override that without your consent. A wave of relief washed over me, but it was relief mixed with newfound strength. Together, we prepared the paperwork, reaffirming documents, setting up a trust fund for Noah and Lily under my control. So that night, Vanessa thought she was cornering me, but sitting beside Mr. Harris wasn't just a chair. It was a statement. I was where I needed to be, close to the truth. I thought of Noah building forts in the living room and Lily twirling in her princess dress. This life wasn't just about me. It was about them, their stability, their love, their future. Vanessa underestimated me. Age doesn't bring weakness. It brings wisdom and patience. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to argue. I only needed the right moment. When Mr. Harris cleared his throat, ready to open the folder, the room held its breath. Vanessa's smug glance faltered. Michael shifted nervously. The children were silent, sensing the gravity. Inside, I was steady. I had made my decision weeks ago. I would protect my family, their inheritance, their home, no matter what. The folder opened, the papers spread across the table, and in that moment, everything Vanessa thought she controlled slipped through her fingers. Mr. Harris adjusted his glasses, his fingers brushing over the first set of documents. The room was tense. Even the children were quiet, their wide eyes flicking between adults, sensing the seriousness but not fully understanding. Your late husband, Jonathan Harris, left behind detailed instructions to ensure this family is cared for. Mr. Harris began, his voice steady and firm. Exactly as he intended. These documents are confirmations of his wishes, not new decisions. Vanessa's lips twitched in a polite smile, but there was a flicker of irritation in her eyes. Of course, she said smoothly. We just want clarity. Everything under one name, it's simpler, right, Michael? Michael hesitated, his voice weak. Yes, for simplicity, he muttered. Mr. Harris didn't look at Vanessa. Instead, he opened the folder and pulled out the first document. My eyes scanned the page, but I didn't need to. I knew what it said, because I had prepared for this. This document, announced Mr. Harris, states that ownership of the family home remains with Eleanor. Purchased jointly by Jonathan and Eleanor, this house belongs to her alone. This will is honored, and no one may contest it. The word struck like lightning. The room fell silent. Vanessa's smile faltered. Her perfectly controlled demeanor cracked ever so slightly. "What? That's not what we discussed," she explained, her voice sharp, though a hint of panic colored it. Mr. Harris raised his hand, cutting her off. "I said nothing of the sort. The law is clear, and so were Jonathan's instructions. Eleanor is the rightful owner of this home. End of discussion." I looked across the table, locking eyes with Vanessa. My voice was calm but deliberate. "You asked me to sit somewhere else, but I chose this seat so that my voice could be heard." Her face flushed red, the clever words she often wielded gone. Michael shifted uncomfortably, guilt painted across his features. Mr. Harris continued, pulling out another document. "Next, Jonathan established a trust fund under Eleanor's guardianship. This fund is reserved for Noah and Lily's education and future needs. Eleanor alone has authority over these funds, and no one else may interfere." Noah and Lily leaned closer to me, their innocent eyes wide. "Grandma, what's happening?" whispered Noah. I squeezed his hand gently. "It means your future is safe," I said, my heart swelling with quiet triumph. Vanessa slammed her hand on the table. The chair scraped loudly against the hardwood floor. "This is outrageous. Michael and I should control this money, not her. She's old. She can't handle it." Mr. Harris's face hardened, his voice measured but unwavering. "With respect, Mrs. Vanessa, Jonathan entrusted these responsibilities to Eleanor because he knew her integrity and strength. Age is not a weakness. It is experience. She has proven herself capable." Vanessa's composure completely shattered. She leaned back, lips pressed thin, fury radiating from every line of her body. For once, she had no words. Michael finally spoke, his voice shaky. "Vanessa, maybe we should stop. Mom deserves this. Dad wanted it this way." His eyes met mine, filled with regret. "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have defended you sooner." I leaned forward, my hands resting calmly on the table. My voice was steady, clear, but firm. "I spent my life building this family with your father. I cared for this home. I raised our son. And now I guide my grandchildren. I don't need control for myself. I need to ensure that what your father built doesn't fall into the wrong hands." Noah pressed closer, resting his head against my arm. Lily's small hand intertwined with mine. To them, this wasn't about documents or money. It was about love, safety, and trust. And they knew, even in their innocence, that I had protected both. Vanessa jumped to her feet. "This isn't over," she snapped, but the power in her voice had vanished. Everyone saw it. The control she thought she wielded was gone. Mr. Harris gathered the papers with calm precision. "It is over," he said firmly. "Jonathan's wishes are clear. Eleanor is protected, but children are protected. Nothing can change that." Silence followed. The only sound was the soft murmur of the children and the faint clink of a glass as one cousin shifted nervously. I sat back, exhaling slowly. A weight lifted that I hadn't realized I had been carrying for years. Not because I had won an argument, but because I had reclaimed my place in this family, quietly, patiently, and with truth on my side. I looked at Vanessa one last time. Her expression was a storm contained, fury still simmering, but powerless. She had misjudged me, underestimated me, and forgotten that wisdom and patience are formidable weapons. Michael reached across the table, placing a hand on my shoulder. Mom, I should have seen this sooner. Thank you for protecting everything. I smiled at him, my heart softening. It's okay, Michael. We'll move forward together now. Noah and Lily ran around the table, their laughter light and bright, filling the room with a sense of relief and joy. To them, the home, the trust, the love, it was all secure. That night, at the very table where I had once been pushed aside, I reclaimed my seat, not through anger or shouting, but through preparation, patience, and unwavering resolution. Everyone knew, in that moment, that I was not someone who could be erased. The lesson was clear. Age doesn't make you weak. Years bring wisdom, experience, and the strength to wait for the right moment. And when that moment arrives, the truth cannot be ignored. As the evening wound down, Vanessa stayed silent, the reality settling in. Michael held my hand briefly, and Noah and Lily ran to me, chattering happily. I realized victory wasn't about papers, ownership, or money. It was about ensuring love, respect, and safety for the ones I cared for most. And in that quiet, triumphant night, I finally felt what I had longed for: peace, dignity, and the knowledge that my husband's legacy was protected and my family was truly safe. The storm had passed. I had chosen the right time. And in doing so, I had not only protected the past, but ensured a future filled with love, trust, and unwavering security for my grandchildren.